for today's session here, I want to read a short little paragraph from a phenomenal piece of literature called Affirmative Power, written by Thomas Troward. And I want you to think about you in your life right now. And I want you to think about a very specific situation in your life that you would like to improve. He starts out here saying, he says, thoroughly, to realize the true nature of affirmative power is to possess the great secret of life. He says, we feel its presence in all the innumerable forms of life by which we are surrounded, and we feel it as the life in ourselves. And at last, someday, the truth bursts upon us like a revelation that we can wield this power, this life, by process of thought. And as soon as we see this, the importance of regulating our thinking begins to dawn upon us. We ask ourselves what this thought process is, and we then find that it is thinking affirmative force into forms, which are the product of our own thought. He says we mentally conceive the form and then think life into it. That is a beautiful statement right there. We mentally conceive the form and then think life into it. You see, we're image creators. You are a creator. And the problem is that most of us have been creating by default. We create based on the unconscious images that we hold in our mind, the images that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we don't have enough education, we don't have enough experience, we're too young, we're too old. All these limited thinking. And we create from those unconscious images, and we create by default. You see, you may be operating with a belief that wasn't even created by you. It was created by some great grandparent way back in history. And it's just been passed down through your family. Right? We want to begin to consciously create, to deliberately create. And you do that by building images in your mind and thinking life into them. And so I want to give you a visual for this, because it's important that we have visuals, that we have images to work with. Otherwise, they're just words. And it can be difficult to find the practical application possibly in what I'm saying. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pop my screen up. And I want to share with you, make sure I've got the screen up there. Perfect. I want to share with you a model that you can use in your life to build those images, to know what's taking place, and consciously choose the thoughts that you want to get involved in so that they can create the results that you want, and learning how to remove the things that just no longer serve you. And so right at the very beginning, we've got to understand the tool that we're working with here. And that, of course, is your mind. Your mind is the greatest tool that you will ever use, and you've got one free and clear. We've all got a mind. You didn't have to pay for it. You didn't have to earn it. You didn't have to do anything for it. You've got it. Yet so few people really understand it. And so I want you to think right now, if you were to type in the chat, if we were to say, what does your mind look like? What does your mind look like? Now, I've heard all kinds of different answers to this, from chaos to colors to blank, to one of the most common answers that I hear is the brain. Most people, when they think of the mind, they think of the brain. And the truth is that your brain is no more your mind than your fingernail or your elbow or your hair. Your brain is an electronic switching station, and it controls the physical functions of the body. But your mind, on the other hand, is an activity. It's a movement. But we don't have an image to work with. When we think of the mind, we think of the brain, but the brain's not the mind. And so we're left with confusion going, well, we don't actually have an image to understand how our mind functions. And so this is the image I share with virtually everybody I come across who's wanting to improve the quality of their life. If you understand this, you are going to find that you just have so much more confidence in life, that you have more self-confidence in who you are, and you know that you can create what you want in your life. But you got to keep studying it. And I know there's people here watching who have heard this probably hundreds of times by now, who've heard me say this and teach this before. And I guarantee you that you're probably going to take away something new today, because it's the repetition that builds the conscious awareness in this, and we start to gain more from it. You cannot go over this too often. And so the image I want to share with you here is what we call the stick person. This is an image of you. This is your mind. And you may think, well, I don't know how powerful this is really going to be, a couple lines and a couple circles. But I tell you, this image literally changed my life and actually saved my life. And I know it has for many others. So let this represent your mind. We're going to let this large circle represent your mind and the small represent your body. Now, it's the large circle that is larger because it's your mind that controls the body. Your body is an instrument of the mind. And it can only do what the mind tells it to do. Now, we're going to split that large circle into two parts. And we're going to say this top half here is what we call the conscious mind. And the bottom half here is what we call the subconscious mind. And of course, down here, we have our body. Now, it's important to understand that your conscious mind it's your educated mind. It's where your intellect resides. It's where you have the ability to choose. This is where you choose the information and the thoughts and the images that you get involved in. You can accept or reject ideas with your conscious mind. You've got information that is flowing in through this conscious mind of yours. You've got sensory factors like see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And you've got all this rush of information flowing in. And it's building images in your conscious mind. They could be negative images. They could be positive images. But you're taking in information and you're building images, and you have the ability to accept or reject any idea that flows into your mind. Now, most people don't really understand that they can reject things that don't fit their values. They can reject things that don't fit the vision for their future. Right? You got to decide what you want and then be brave enough to say no to everything that is not that. You just decide exactly what you want, decide the way you want to live, and then say no to the rest. Right? And say yes to everything you would like more of. And so we've got all this information rushing in. The conscious mind can accept or reject. It's where we pile up the information. But then down here, we've got our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. It's what the ancient Greeks referred to as the heart of hearts. Not the physical pump, but it was this emotional side of you, right? There's a famous quote from the Bible that says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? As a person thinketh in their heart, so are they. You see, this is where it gets really powerful. And this is where we have to keep studying this, because we can gather all kinds of information in our conscious mind. We can pile up the books. We can go to school. We can get degrees after degrees after degrees. And you probably know people who have degrees running off the end of their business card. They've got all kinds of education, yet they're not getting the results that they want. Why? Why would a person who is so educated and has so much information still not get the results that they want? Well, the answer lies in our subconscious mind. This part of us that we really don't look at very often. And the interesting thing about the subconscious mind is that it can only accept ideas. It's your emotional mind, it's your universal mind, but it can only accept ideas. It has no ability to reject an idea. And so we start to build these images in our conscious mind based on the information that's going on around us. And through repetition and emotional involvement, we impress these ideas upon our subjective or subconscious minds. Now, for this purpose, let's imagine that you've built a negative idea in your conscious mind. You've let some outside condition and circumstance start to control the way you think. For many people right now, it's the affirmation that there's not enough, or things are too expensive, right? I can't have what I want. I don't have enough. So that's a negative idea that you've built in your mind. And we repeat it over and over again. And we impress that negative idea upon our subjective mind, our emotional mind. We get emotionally involved in it. It doesn't feel good. And that negative idea gets accepted by the subconscious mind because it has no ability to reject it. It's accepted. Now, we've got to understand that our mind operates by law. By law. There are natural, universal laws that operate in our universe here, and we've got to learn to understand them. Now, one of the natural laws, of course, is the law of gravity, that when I drop this pen, it always falls. Well, another law is that whatever you impress upon your subjective mind must and absolutely, without question, be expressed with and through the body. Whatever is impressed must be expressed. And it changes the way that we take action. You see, a person who's involved in a negative idea where they don't believe there's enough, they believe things are too expensive, that they can't have what they want, that life is difficult, life's happening to them, they're not going to take action on new opportunity. They're not going to believe in themselves. They are always going to look out into the world and see lack and limitation because they've built images of lack and limitation. And that moves their physical being, this instrument that you operate with, into a different vibration, a vibrational state. Now, vibration can be referred to as feeling. Feeling is just a word that we've invented to describe the conscious awareness of the vibration that we're in. It's the conscious awareness of the vibration we're in. And it's your vibrational state that causes you to take action or a lack of an action. You just don't feel very good. You just don't have energy. You just don't have this or that or the next thing. And that causes you to step out and take action. And for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And it's that reaction that begins to alter our conditions, our circumstances, our environment, or our results. But you see, we stay stuck in thinking some of these same thoughts over and over and over again. We look down on our results and we let that image get built in our conscious mind. We get emotionally involved in it. We shift into vibration. Vibration precedes attraction, and we just create the same results over and over again. This is what we call people who stay stuck in a cycle of struggle. I'm here to tell you that you can break out of that, but you've got to want to. You've got to have the desire for more. You've got to see yourself as more. You got to believe in the incredible that lies within you. You see, we are a tri-human being, meaning we live on 3 planes of existence. We are spiritual beings, we have an intellect, and we live in the physical body. 3 parts to our being. Now, spirit is always for fuller expression and expansion. Always. You see, we've heard many people say that they've had spiritual experiences, that we're physical beings having a spiritual experience. But the truth is that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. That is who you are. Now, spirit is always for full expression and expansion. Spirit is everywhere, always. Call it energy, call it life, call it whatever you want. There's a part of you that wants more, that wants to express itself in a fuller way. That's why you have desires. That's why you have wants. It's not being greedy to act on those. It's to express your authenticity. It's to express life with and through you. Life is happening through you. Now, spiritual side of you, of course, is the thoughts that you think. Thoughts are of a non-physical nature. And we can take that, and through our intellect, we can tap into spirit, tap into the non-physical, and we can pull together thoughts, and we can build ideas. We can build images. We can build any image that we want, any way you want to live. You can see it. It's through one of our mental faculties of imagination. We have 6 mental faculties. One of them is imagination. And it's this mental gift that has been given to you to literally create your future. So you tap into the non-physical, you build ideas, and if you hold the idea and you get emotionally involved with it and you follow what is laid out here, except you're building positive ideas, that image must move into form. It absolutely must move into form with and through you and express itself and manifest itself in your results. Andrew Carnegie, who back in about 1930 something was the wealthiest man in the world, commissioned Napoleon Hill to write the book Think and Grow Rich. And he said that any idea that was held in the mind, that was feared or revered, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and available form. All ideas move into form. All ideas move into form. Your job is to build the ideas, the images that you want to move into form. What idea do you want to move into form? Right? What results do you want to create? Work backwards. What is the image of the results that you want? What's that positive image? And then work backwards a little ways and say, well, what are the actions that I need to be involved in to create that? Right? Like, what does my physical body need to be doing in order to create those results? And you think, well, I got to do this, got to do that. And we understand, though, that your actions, your behaviors are a secondary cause to results. The primary cause lies in your mind, specifically your subconscious mind. It's the images that you hold in here that dictate the action you take. It's not what you think consciously. It's what you take and internalize and emotionalize that becomes the reality of your life, that becomes the actions that you take, and ultimately the results that you experience. Now, we're creative individuals. We can create anything we want. And it starts by creating the images that we want. And so you build the image of the good that you desire, and you start using that affirmative power. We start understanding. What did he say? He said, at last someday, the truth bursts upon us like a revelation that we can wield this power, this life. And as soon as we see this, the importance of regulating our thinking begins to dawn upon us. We've got to begin to think, what images do I want to hold in my mind? I'm a creative individual. I can build any image that I want. And now I just got to get emotionally involved in that. I've got to impress that upon my mind, impress it upon my being. And when you do that, you build ideas and you give more energy to this one, the old ideas die due to lack of nourishment. You see, your subconscious mind is like the earth. It's amoral. It doesn't care what you plant in it. The earth does not care what you plant in the garden. It will grow whatever you plant. Earl Nightingale said once that you can plant nightshade, a deadly poison, and corn, a sweet food, not an inch away apart from each other, and both are going to grow with just as much of an abundance. What kind of ideas are you planting in your mind? What are you giving energy to? You see, Bob, my mentor, Bob Proctor, who many of you are familiar with, and who we run many of our programs through, said once, and I love this, he said, many things can be solved by neglect. Many things can be solved by neglect. Neglect those old ideas. Don't give them energy. Emerson said, the only thing that can grow in life is the thing that you give energy to. Right? What ideas are you watering? What ideas are you nurturing? You're a creative individual. You're a spiritual being. You have the intellect. You live in the physical body. You can build any idea you want in this mind of yours. You just keep getting emotionally involved in this. And you step out and you act on the idea. You don't look at your present results to see if you can step out and act. You build the image, you get emotionally involved, and you step out and you act. It's the action that causes a reaction. Cause and effect. This is one of the law of laws in our universe. But you see, so many people are letting the outside world control the way they think and control the way they act. And so they stay stuck. Right? Because we accept stuckedness. That's a word. You don't have to accept that. Build the image. Think of what you want. Get emotionally involved. Feel and act. Think, feel, act. Think, feel, do. That's the process.